Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, so I'm on here. Wanted you to see my face, but I'm about to go off camera because we're going to talk about. You see this? Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom, replacing Jonathan Majors as Kang as the new MCU villain. So I'm going to go over this information. I don't know. I just have some thoughts and I'm going to go over the stop. So I'm going to stop my camera. You're going to see me like this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. If there is, please support this channel. You can support this channel by hitting that like button. If you want to send anything to my Cash App or you want to be a member, memberships are available at this time. And let's pretty much get into what we're talking about today. So, why did I get into this? Well, honestly, I was perusing the blogs and I came across, let me share my screen, let me share my screen, let me share my screen. Hold on, y'all. Let me do this. Let me share. Let me go. Let me move some things around. Again, hit that like button. Please share this video if you care. I'm just moving some things around so I can see them a little bit more clearly. So let's look at this. So this is my Instagram. I'm over here on Instagram and I see this. Jonathan Majors fan, this is on the Jasmine brand. And again, the Jasmine brand is a blog. And please remember, these blogs are not necessarily the truth. They are just, they put out information and they do expect for you to comment as you want to. Okay. So let's be very clear about the blogs. They're not in support of Jonathan Majors. Depending on particularly if how their clicks and their views are working out. Okay. So if their clicks and their views are working out to speak on anybody in the negative, that's what they're going to do. If their clicks or views are working out that they can speak about people in the positive, that is what a blog will do. So I do want to be able to quantify and clarify that, because people get all confused thinking that what a blog says or what a blog does is the absolute truth when it's not. Okay. Do they have some good exposés about what they're talking about? Absolutely. Absolutely. But most of the time, if it's something negative, they will completely talk about it. And I'm not here to hype them up. I'm not here to bring them down. I'm just letting you know these are the sources that I'm looking at. And this is the information that I am pulling from. Okay. So here we are with the Jasmine brand that says Jonathan Majors fans criticize Marvel after Robert Downey Jr., who has a questionable criminal past, have. Now, Robert Downey Jr. is probably going on 15, 20 years from now, 20 years ago. Robert Downey Jr., when he first, let me get to this, because sometimes I feel like I'm all over the place. Robert Downey Jr., back in the day, he had a lot of drug charges, and he had one particular charge where he was pulled over for DUI. He ended up with a firearm in the car. So he was then arrested and he went to prison for those charges, with the even with the drug charges and all those different things. So he actually went to prison, and I think he spent about 18 months in prison for that. And then when you juxtapose that happened about 15 years ago. You juxtapose that with Jonathan Major's charge of misdemeanor assault and harassment, which the harassment was a violation, and the misdemeanor assault landed him to have to do 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling and things of that nature. Okay. So what so I wanted to put those that information out there so you kind of understand what's going on. So again, it says Jonathan Majors France criticized Marvel after Robert Downey Jr., who has a questionable criminal past, replaces him as the new Avengers villain. And so what I wanted to do was kind of go over what the Jasmine Brand is talking about, and then go over some of the comments. It says here, some supporters of Jonathan Majors believe that Marvel is playing a racial double standard. So let's read this. They're saying that fans of embattled movie star and recently called out Marvel execs, arguing that it's not fair that Jonathan Majors will be replaced by Robert Downey Jr. in the continued Avengers series despite his own criminal history. So, for those of you all that are not understanding what's going on, let me break this down. Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is when you go see a Marvel movie. That is a Marvel Cinematic movie universe. That's what we're talking about. For the past 10 to 12 years, he played Tony Stark, Iron Man, in this Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay. So he played that particular character. That is what he is known for playing, is Iron Man. Now, Iron Man, he was able to play this character because there were several people in the music, in the not the music, but the entertainment industry uh that went to bat for him to be able to play that, because he in the past had several charges against him, and they were always stemming from drug abuse charges. His The last charge that he had before he rehabilitated his life, and I want to be able to speak on that. That Robert Downey Jr. has rehabilitated his life, and his rehabilitation has probably last more than 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 15 years. Whatever it was, maybe like a year or so before he started to work in the MCU. Okay. I want to be very clear. I want to be fair about what I am saying. But we want to also be fair that Robert Downey Jr. went to prison because of the fact, with along with these drug charges, and with him, with each subsequent drug charge, and I think it was two or three, they had him on probation. The last one ended him in jail simply because of the fact that he had a firearm. And in California, you can't have an unregistered firearm on your person. And so with that charge, and also with the other charges that he went through probation, with him having that firearm, it violated his probation. He ended up going to jail. He ended up going to prison, and he stayed in prison probably 18 months. Y'all put it down in the comments if you know the exact amount, but I do believe he stayed in prison for about 18 months. He was able to get back into the acting world after all of that, because there were people that went to bat for him. Okay. And so we understand that. And so I'm not trying to shit on Robert Downey Jr., but I do want to be able to talk about what's going on with him in 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 so much of that. In these past few years, Robert Downey Jr. has been doing fine. He hasn't had another incident. I'm not telling you that I know that he is no longer using drugs or anything like that, but what I do know is that he has rehabilitated his life, and he has recently won an Oscar for his role, I think, in Oppenheimer. Okay, uh, best supporting actor in his role as an Oppenheimer. So he is on his stuff. He is doing what he needs to do. We love Robert Downey Jr. That is, we're not trying to pit Jonathan Majors against Robert Downey Jr. Okay. So what has happened if you've been under a rock for this past weekend? Marvel fired Jonathan Majors back in December of 2023 when he was convicted of the misdemeanor charge of reckless assault and harassment. Now, the harassment charge was a violation, which he probably had to pay a fine, and the reckless assault required, he could have spent up to a year in jail. The judge mentioned that that was not an offense that anybody that he had up under his, that he was the judge for, went to jail for, and thus uh, Jonathan Majors was sentenced to 52 weeks of domestic violence intervention counseling. So he has to do that for 52 weeks. That started, I'm assuming, back in April. So let's say that May. So he still has, it's a year. He has a year to do that. So I think he's probably done 3 or 4 months of that in person domestic violence intervention counseling. Okay. He wasn't charged with intentional domestic violence. He was charged that the his ex-girlfriend, somewhere in this whole fracas, she was injured, but they could not prove that he intentionally injured her. She could have been injured afterwards. We do not know, but he wasn't charged with intentional injury. And I want to make sure that people understand that, because I do know that there are think pieces and everything like that that's saying that he has done all of these things. But from what we understand from the court hearing that he was in New York back in December, all the things that went through that court, some things were in favor of Jonathan Majors. There were some things that were not in favor of Jonathan Majors, but we want to be very clear that he was not charged with anything intentional, you know, and I want to be very, very clear with that. All right. So let's go back through what the Jasmine brand is saying. Fans of the embattled movie star recently called out Marvel execs, arguing that it is not fair that Jonathan Majors will be replaced by Robert Downey Jr. in the continued Avengers series, despite his own criminal history. Reportedly, Marvel made the big reveal at Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, in the past Saturday, July 27th. Robert Downey Jr., 59, who launched the Marvel Cinematic Universe success with the first movie from the Avengers franchise, 2008's Iron Man, joined the studio president, Kevin Feige, in San Diego, where they revealed he will be returning to the MCU as the supervillain Doctor Doom, who commonly known for the Marvels in the Fantastic Four saga. All right. Now, I'm just going to put this little caveat in here. Again, Robert Downey Jr. is known for playing Iron Man. Now he's returning to be able to play Doctor Doom, a villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which for me is a little confusing because we know him as Tony Stark. We're gonna always forever know him as Tony Stark. Is he a great actor? Absolutely. My only contention in this is that there are so many actors out here that could have played Doctor Doom besides Robert Downey Jr. Now I know within the fandom everybody's talking about, well, he might be playing a variant and all this other stuff, but my thing for me as a watcher is this: there are so many actors out here, and to to close up this acting thing that there's only a few actors that can play a certain character is ludicrous to me. I think I don't have an issue or problem um in regards of his acting skills or anything like that. My only thing is that the MCU is Kevin Feige. They are just feel I don't know. I just feel like they don't have they're just trying to do anything to get people to come back to watch their movies instead of them actually just taking a character, building a script around the character. But everything that we have seen probably in the past year has been built around the multiverse. And I will say this, and I stand by this. Every character does not have to conform to a slot within the multiverse. If you're just talking about this particular character and getting audience to understand and know this character, I think that that's what's important. Trying to get people back into the seats just to say that it's Robert Downey Jr. is confusing, particularly if you have been watching this for the past 10 to 15 years and you're used to Robert Downey Jr. being Iron Man. It is absolutely confusing that you're going to have him come and play Doctor Doom. Is he going to be Doctor Doom throughout the whole saga of Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four? Or are you all having him to play Doctor Doom as a variant in this multiverse? And I will say this, and I stand by this because this is just my opinion. I think that Kevin Feige uh, and them, all those people and those execs talking about the multiverse, they did not plan what they wanted to do with this multiverse. And so everything has been disjointed in regards to this multiverse verse, because you have so many people trying to push everything that has happened in the past year and a half, maybe 2 years, to the multiverse. I do not think that Kevin Feige and anybody in the executive branch of Marvel sat down and mapped this out the way that they had mapped out the Avenger saga. I think that they should have sat down and they should have mapped out this Avenger saga, because they introduced so many characters and we don't know where they stand within the multiverse. We know that there's a multiverse out here, but we don't know where they stand. I think that they should have waited to talk about the multiverse when they started talking about the Avengers, when they talk about the Kang dynasty and all, and because that has been scrapped. But now they're talking about the multiverse. And I think that they should have waited for that. I think if they were going to talk about and introduce these new characters, they should have just introduced new characters standing on their own, from these particular characters uh, uh character development, like Shang-Chi and all these different things. Those characters should have been mapped out. If they were going to play within the multiverse, they should have figured out which characters that they wanted to move forward into the multiverse. The thing that I will say about Kang is that Jonathan Majors played Kang. However, the way that they wrote Kang as almost like some kind of quasi, almost weak character. I mean, when you have him in Quantum Mania, they introduced him in Quantum Mania. I don't think that they should have introduced Kang in Quantum Mania. They could have introduced Kang in an Avengers movie that was coming up, but they chose to introduce Kang in the Quantum Mania realm. And this man was Kang. His character was defeated by ants. They also introduced Kang in the Loki series. They kind of wrapped that Loki series up in a bow, pretty much saying that whatever happened in the Loki series, and as far as the TVA was dealing with the Kang variants, any variants of the Kang. So they have just kind of basically have given up on that Kang story. They've given up on that Kang story. But to me, they didn't put as much emphasis that they needed to in that Kang story in the first place. But anyway, let me just continue. Doctor Doom will carry the next story arc for the billion-dollar Avenger franchise, with Robert Downey Jr. being the forthcoming bad guy the super team must defeat. If you recall, Jonathan Majors was originally set to helm the next set of Avengers movies, playing the role of the villain Kang, uh, before he was fired following his domestic violence conviction. As you uh, as you may know, the actor was found guilty of reckless assault and harassment following a physical dispute involving his then girlfriend, Grace Jabari, during an argument back in March of last year. While some were elated to learn that Downey would be signing on for for Marvel films, others could not help but blast the double standards that they feel is at play. One user referenced Downey's past criminal convictions, which consist of numerous arrests from 96 to 2001 on drug and possession charges. They wrote, Downey Jr. has an arrest record comparable to most career criminal, so him being the replacement for Jonathan Majors only emphasized the scrutiny placed on black people as to be perfect. In a subsequent tweet, they added, uh, this tweet was made specifically for all the judgmental hypocrites that keep expressly expressing, celebrating Majors being let go for his misdemeanor infraction, replaced with an actor with a rap sheet like RDJ. We love RDJ, but I also can see and reason. And so there's a full story on the jasminebrand.com if you want to go to. So I wanted to go through some of the comments here on the Jasmine brand. We see Tony Baker, who is a comedian, says, I don't think this argument applies. We see this his royal highness, his royal beardness. Sorry to say, but this isn't about race. RDJ did all of his dirt, turned himself around, and way before the MCU existed. Majors got caught up during. I think Disney overreacted with their decision, but nothing more. We have what is that? Sinatra Talks. Wow, y'all been making fun of this N word for the last year or two, but now you want to come to his defense because Downey got the part. Hilarious. A lot of y'all should make fake public outrage your full time job, and because you're great at it. LOL. To be fair, and this is from the Exquisite Lifestyle. To be fair, RDJ moved past all of that when he was cast by Marvel. They didn't hire him right after he had his issues happen, which they kind of did. After some time, when Majors makes more movies and stays away for issues, he will have the same opportunity. I don't know, but we hope we would hope that there was fairness in that. Everything isn't about race. RDJ took a major hit and break during his tumultuous time. Stop it. That was a whole different decade. And people are comparing the different decade, and the only difference is the fact that social media wasn't as big as it was during RDJ's time as it is during Jonathan Major's time. Um what is this? Chyanok. I hope I'm saying that right. Robert went to jail and rehab for his drug issues. He served his time as well as lost out on movie roles for years. He was he was shocked himself. He was given the chance to do Iron Man after already being sober for years at that time. He did his dirt harm towards himself, not anyone else, and it was 20 plus years ago. So, you have just, when you look through here, you have different people espousing different things. Let's see. I wanted to see. Everybody talks about race. RDJ went to jail and rehab year before Iron Man. They did the same thing to Johnny Tech, according to Ladies Rebellious. That man paid his dues and you're still acting like a victim. Come on, man. Stop picking and choosing. RDJ was banned from acting till years until he took all the needed steps to return and in good health. So basically, what I see on over here on the Jasmine brand. Let me see. Is there any more? So this comment right here from this particular artist, sometimes I can't just read their stuff, their names, because everyone has all these little classy names, but y'all see it. Uh, bruh, major situation is still fresh. Plus, he's need a new movie to show he's still popping. Robert's situation is almost 30 years ago. Plus, he's proved he changed. Plus, he's Iron Man and the biggest star on the planet. Also, Kane's character is a boring villain, and the movie sucked. I would rather he play a different character anyway. And that's pretty much coming from the fact that, again, it was the writing, because we look at Kang and his character and everything that kind of went through with that character. But we do understand that the writing, MCU has an issue and a problem with the writing that they've had over the past 2 to 3 years. And we learned that Kevin Feige was just getting people to come in because they were cheap, they're because those writers were in a desperate situation, from what I'm understanding. That they've come in and they were writing these particular shows and all these little different things. And we hear Taiki Waititi say, I was broke, I needed some money, so I came in, and he hit gold with Ragnarok. But it was boo boo when they talked about Thor: Love and Thunder, and how they took the God Butcher, that villain, and they made him just as weak and as crazy, and they didn't do any character development about that. So Thor and Love and Thunder was a miss in regards to character development, and particularly the character development of what was his name? I know it was the God Butcher, but I can't remember what his name was. So y'all charge that to my head, not my heart. So let's continue. I've got another article that I want to go over. I actually have a couple of articles that I want to kind of go over. So let's go with this particular one. Mm, mm. All right. Marvel officially confirms the MCU's Kang replacement. This is Screen Rant, and it's written by Andy. Yeah, I'm trying to get this thing bigger, but it's not getting any better. Andy. You see it on the screen. You see it right here. I can't pronounce that, and I won't even try. It says the Marvel Cinematic Universe has finally decided its fate for Kang the Conqueror for the rest of the multiverse saga run. As Marvel Studios is building closer to their next set of Avengers movies, the franchise has a tricky situation hanging in the air for several months. Following Jonathan Majors' firing after his trial resulted in a guilty verdict, Marvel has been fairly quiet on what they are going to do with the Kang character, given that he was meant to serve as the central antagonist of the multiverse saga. As Marvel hosted their traditional Hall H presentation this year at the San Diego's Comic Con, many have been wondering if their panel would perhaps shed some light on Kang's future within the MCU timeline. With Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige present at Hall H, Kang's fate has officially been determined as Robert Downey Jr. is replacing him. However, the Iron Man star will be playing Doctor Doom, who is set to appear in Avengers Doomsday. Um, and Avengers Secret Wars, seemingly ending Kang's time in the MCU. Why RDJ is as Doctor Doom is a better choice than Kang. Now, according to them, even though the initial response to Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU as a new variant has been mixed, the idea of him as Doctor Doom is far more compelling than Kang. While Kang was featured in multiple projects in the multiverse saga, there is not the same connection with him as there was with Thanos in the Infinity Saga. However, bringing back Downey Jr. can really stir things up for the MCU heroes, especially those who were close to Tony Stark. The idea of having the Avengers face off against a villain who looks like the hero who sacrificed himself to undo Thanos' actions in Avengers Endgame would be more emotionally compelling if someone like Thor, War Machine, or Spider-Man are included in the equation. It could make Avengers Doomsdays extremely tragic, given how Avengers Secret Wars is reportedly going to lead to a soft reboot of the MCU. And now that's interesting. A soft reboot, because I think in a reboot, and I'm just going to be very serious right here. If you're going to be leading to these soft reboots, I do really do think that if you're going to do a soft reboot, Black Panther, there should be a soft reboot, and then they should bring back T'Challa in the MCU, because you're doing it for all these other characters. You can do it for the Black Panther. And for those of you all who are out here talking about, oh, well, his son is going to be T'Challa and y'all should be okay with that. Uh, fuck you. I'm sorry. And the horse that you rode in on. No, I think that they should do a soft reboot, and they should bring back even if it is a variant of T'Challa. I do not care, but they should recast T'Challa, and they should recast that whole situation, because you can bring back T'Challa. He is very, very necessary. Because if you can sit here and soft boot this whole situation so that you can bring back Robert Downey Jr., you can definitely damn well soft boot this situation and recast T'Challa. Okay, let's continue. Having Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom as essentially the final big bad of this iteration of the franchise is only fitting. It's only fitting because I don't think Kevin Feige, because of the fact that Kevin Feige allowed these subpar writers to come in and to write these stories and things like that, and to write these stories around Kang, and to write these stories around Blade, because here we are. You can make all of these different situations to where you can soft boot the MCU so that you can bring back Robert Downey Jr. As a villain, but yet we still hadn't seen you've had several scripts to come out in regards to Blade, and you can't blame Blade out. Meanwhile, Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have taken pretty much, I believe, a script. Now, this is just me. I don't know. This is Pam Entertainment TV. I believe that they have taken a script that Marvel has rejected, and they are making moves to make their own vampire movie. I'm not quite sure they're not calling it Blade, but I'm quite I fully believe that this was an iteration of a script of Blade that they are out here working on, and they're about to put this vampire movie out way before Marvel. But Marvel has been teasing us about this Blade movie since 2019. However, I have gone on a tangent. I am back. Let me continue. It will be intriguing to see how Downey Jr. As Doctor Doom will be tackled as they begin to build forward towards Avengers, Doomsday, and Avengers Secret Wars. With the massive lore that exists with Doctor Doom in the Marvel comics, there are a lot of directions that they can take this new character for the MCU veteran. Hopefully, more updates on the Doctor Doom plot for the MCU will emerge over the months. How Marvel could write out Kang for the MCU universe, even though they would have their new main antagonist, it still begs the question of whether or not the MCU actually plans to give Kang a conclusion in any capacity. It is obvious that they will not have Majors come back to film a final appearance that would wrap up his time in the MCU. However, There are several number of options Marvel Studio could consider for a hypothetical Kang ending without having to use the actor. Another scenario could be to have Downey's Doctor Dooms, whenever he enters the story, establish that the reason Kang hasn't been around in the last few years is because he took care of all of those variants. If they want to lean into the ending of the Loki season 2, Marvel could have Tom Hiddleston's character play another big role, especially as the last season had him deal with a Kang variant. Since Loki is now the god of time, he could literally have the power to erase Kang out of existence in the timeline. Another clever Loki tie-in could be to have the TVA deal with Kang variants off screen, as it would be organic for those characters to be tackling the problem. And I don't know if I'm going to continue to read this thing or not. Let me see what's going on. But these are the upcoming movies that they're talking about that they're supposed to come out. Captain America Brave New World is February 14, 2025. We have Thunderbolts 2025, May 2025. We have The Fantastic Four, July 2025. We have Blade, November 2025. We have Avengers Doomsday, May 2026. And we have Avengers War, May 7, 2027. So I'm going to leave it there because I don't want this video to be too long. I don't want to have this continued rant. But I do want to be able to just say, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Like I said, who am I? But as a person that watches the MCU, and I'm not the biggest comic book person. I won't even begin to tell you that I am the biggest comic book person. But what I will say is this: having RDJ come back as a villain is confusing for me. I think that the MCU, I know that they wanted the Russo brothers to come back. I don't know if the Russo brothers said that they would come back only if RDJ would be in the mix. I don't know if any of those things happened, but what I can say is this, and I'm going to conclude this. They could have completed the Kang saga. They could have used a different actor if they chose to do that. Um, and like I said, Marvel does what Marvel wants to do. We have seen that time and time again. I think that they could have finished out the Kang variants, because like I said, Kang has several different variants in the MCU. They could have come back and they could have used another actor as a Kang variant if they wanted to. Bringing back Robert Downey Jr., you know, for me, it's just confusing because I'm always going to see him as Tony Stark. I'm always going to see him as Iron Man. To see him as Doctor Doom is just going to be too confusing to me. It's just too confusing to me. Again, I am that casual watch. I am that watcher that watches through the MCU. So that's going to be confusing to me. You're not going to be able to explain to me in any level of understanding as to why Robert Downey Jr. is back as Doctor Doom when there are so many actors. And this is the same thing that I've said about T'Challa. Uh, there are so many actors that can play T'Challa. There are so many actors that can play Doctor Doom. If you wanted Doctor Doom to be the main villain, hey, fine. That's the MCU, but you could have found somebody else other than Tony Stark. And again, I think that you're pulling from Tony Stark or anything like that. There's several different reasons as to why. One of the reasons for me is the fact that I think there's just been a lot of people. There have been a lot of MCU fans that have been acting like DC fans, particularly those that were talking about the Snyder Cut. There have been a lot of Marvel fans that do not like the fact that there are people of color and that there are women in the MCU. If they are not placed as secondary characters. If they are main characters in here, they do not like that. They do not want that. And so I see that the MCU has been following that lead. Or number two is the fact that they were trying to get the Russo brothers back, and the Russo brothers basically stated, "Hey, we'll come back, but we want Robert Downey Jr. to come back and to do those things." So I can definitely see that happening as well, and I can definitely see that all these things happening simultaneously. One wasn't not necessarily the cause of the other, but I can definitely see that these types of situations were happening behind the scenes. Okay. Um, However you feel about Jonathan Majors or not, like I said, the character of Kang still could have finished out its term in the MCU a little bit better than what they did. For him to be as big a bad as they said he was, and then he was taken over by ants, that's just craziness to me. But again, that's what Marvel has put out here, and that is what Marvel is working out. Do I think that Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom is going to be? It's just going to depend on whether or not that they're just going to pop him as he is going to be Doctor Doom, and they're not going to make any references of him being Iron Man or anything like that. It to me would be better if they would do something to change his look, give him colored contacts. I don't know, give him some light blue colored contacts, uh change his hair color, or we just don't see his face or make his face look different. I don't know. But for me, it's going to be confusing unless you do something visually that's going to change that he was Tony Stark. Maybe he doesn't have a beard or something. All right. All right, people. That's just my little rant and ravings in regard to this. Okay, this is just my rants and ravings. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. What do you all think about Tony Stark, Lord? Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. What do you think about that pairing? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Are you willing to just let it slide because of that he is an actor and he can act? Tell me what your thoughts. Please put them down in the comment. What do you think about Jonathan Majors and his role as Kang? And tell me what you also think about the character of Kang. Do you think that the character of Kang should remain in the MCU? Do you think that the character of Kang can come back in the MCU at different iterations and different times? Tell me what you all think about this. I am truly interested in what you all think. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you cannot stand that I am over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye bye.